Okay, I can see the chats now. Hello, hello, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Good evening, guys. Hello, 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 Ganesh, Samira, Swat, Suresh, Shetyar, Venkata. Hello everyone. Good evening, guys. Good evening and welcome back to this Node.js Essentials course. I hope I'm audible and you guys can also see my screen. Everyone? Yeah, that's great. Hello everyone. Hello, 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 hello. I really hope that you guys found the assignment because I can see a lot of people asking that you guys didn't find the assignment. If you have registered for the course, you might have received a mail. And in that mail only, I posted a text file named assignment, and that I wrote the assignment question. And don't worry, today I'll also post it on the group. Yesterday, actually, my community was not working, so I was unable to post it on the group. So I uploaded it in my attendance. So I think it might be mailed to you. But don't worry, if you have not got it, don't worry about it. Today I'll post the assignment number 1 and the assignment number 2 both on the group. Will that be fine, everyone? So don't worry about it. You still have like 3 to 4 days to submit the assignment. So don't worry about it. I'll post the assignment number 1 and as well as assignment number 2 in the group. So don't worry about it. You have not received any mail? Okay, don't worry. I'll post both of them, both the assignment questions today in the group. So don't worry about it. Just join the group. Everyone, please join the group. That is important. Today I'll post both the assignments there. Okay, everyone? That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. So let's start with today's session. And again, once more, welcome all of you like back to this Node.js Essentials course. And today we are going to do a lot of things, like literally a lot of things. Okay. So let's get ahead. Let's get started. Okay. Fine. So yesterday we learned like what is Express. Okay. And basics about Node, how to run the things and how to run your project, as well as how to import import the Express package, then create the object, then create some basic API endpoints. So now today we are going to learn how to connect. Now we also learned yesterday how to send request from a client named Thunder client. Okay, so we're again going to use that today. But today the first thing that we're going to learn is, because in the latter part of the session today, we want to connect our Node.js project to a database so that we can actually transfer data and store data into database. And we also have to learn how to actually extract data from database and send it back to user. That means today we have to see how to connect your Node.js program to a database so that we can store and retrieve data from there. But before all of that, we first have to understand what is the database we are using and how to work with that database. Is that clear? So that's the whole concept that we have to learn for today. First, we're going to see what kind of database we are using. Second, how to work with that. Third, then we'll go ahead in Node.js and we'll see how to connect our Node.js program to the database so that we can store data there and retrieve data from there. Is that clear, everyone? Okay. So without using any more time, without wasting it, let's get ahead and let's start. Some people are saying quality is low at my end. I think, guys, see, if the video quality is low, don't worry, guys, because see, I'm also watching it live on YouTube and quality is like perfectly fine. So I think it might be your internet speed, or just try changing the video quality in your YouTube. Just try changing the video quality. Is that cleared? Okay. So now, guys, yesterday I really hope that you all guys installed MongoDB. So after installing that software, MongoDB server is installed in your PCs. Okay. MongoDB server is installed in your PCs. Now, like before moving on to that, before doing anything, first of all, let's try to understand what exactly is MongoDB. Okay, let's first try to understand. I will again explain how to install it, because yesterday I just like told you guys to install it so that it happens in the background. But today I'll explain you how to install it and how it actually works. Okay. So first of all, we have to understand. Okay, like let me just open a notepad. It's like every session. And today, first we have to understand what is MongoDB. Okay. So MongoDB, first of all, it's nothing but it's a database. That's it. It's like a database management system, or you can just call it a database. Okay. So just like SQL, if you've ever heard of like SQL or MySQL or SQL Server or Oracle SQL, it is nothing but a database where you simply store your application data, and so that you can retrieve data from there. So like when you build an application, you always mostly have a database where you store your data and retrieve from it. Like for example, if you go on Facebook, right? You register yourself, then you like post things, you comment on things. So all of things that you do is stored in database. That's why when you log in again, you can see your name, you can see your previous post, you can see your comments, you can see your likes, because everything that you do on a particular application, on a particular website, is stored into a database. And when you log in again, you can see everything back because everything is stored somewhere and Facebook is storing it there and retrieving it from there. So that's what you call as a database. So now there are a lot of different kinds of database, like MySQL that uses SQL is a database. SQL Server is a way of working with databases. Oracle SQL, you have PostgreSQL, you have SQLite, and in the same concept, you also have MongoDB, which is nothing but a database management system, which will help you to create databases, store data, and retrieve data. Is that clear? But there are some special features that you have in MongoDB that is what makes MongoDB popular for using with Node.js. There are some special features. So first of all, we have to understand what kind of database MongoDB is. Okay. So MongoDB is a document-based database. MongoDB is a document-based database. Like for example, if you have ever learned MySQL or any kind of SQL-related database, you might know that there you create tables, and inside tables you have columns and rows, and you store your data in rows, right? You know that, right, everyone? If you've ever heard of like SQL, MySQL or SQL Server, you know that there in the databases, if you create a database, you simply create tables in database. Like for example, first you create a database. Okay, for an application, you create a database where you're going to store all your data. Then inside database, you create multiple tables, and inside tables you have rows and columns, and in the your rows you store your data. In terms of rows, you store your data. That's how a normal SQL database works, right? You have data, you create database. Inside database, you create tables. But MongoDB is not a table based or SQL based database. It's a document based database. That means again, it's a database, but the way that it stores data and works with it is different. It's not like SQL. Is that clear, everyone? So that's what make MongoDB different. It's not like SQL. It works differently. It's a database. That means it's going to store data, but it works differently. So as I told you, MongoDB is a document based database. Now let's see what is the process here. So first, when you create an application and you want to create a storage for it, again here also first you create a database, just like you do in SQL. Again, you create a simple database here. So the first thing that you do here is you create a database. Then inside database here, just like SQL, you have in your SQL you create tables. Here you don't create tables. You create something called as collections. SQL, in SQL based databases, you create tables, right? If you want to store user data, you create a user table. If you want to store post data, you create a post table. If you want to store like, let's say shopping data, you create a shopping table. Here, you have something called as collections. You create collections for your different kind of data. And inside collections, just like in tables, you create rows for a single data. You create a row for a single data. Here, you create a document. So inside a collection, let's say, for example, you're trying to store users. So you'll create a user collection. And inside user collection, you want to store multiple users. So for every user, you'll create a document. Just like in SQL, you create a row. Here, you'll create a document. And document is something that exactly looks like a JS object. So that's why it will be simpler to understand, because a document exactly looks like a JS object. And that's why it will be much more simpler for you to understand. So if we are from Node.js background or JavaScript background specifically, MongoDB is a lot easier for us to understand. Because first of all, we are not having table structure. We are simply having document structure that looks exactly like a JS object. So if you're working with JS, you're already familiar with JS object. So you don't have to like do any kind of hard work to understand this. It will be a lot easier for you to understand because it is again an object based database. Document exactly looks like an object. So that's the difference between a normal SQL database and MongoDB. It's a document based database. So you create a database for application, and inside database you create different collections for different kind of data, and inside a collection you create documents for different rows. So here you have documents. You don't have rows, you have documents. You can have 5 documents, that means 5 user data. 10 documents, that means you have 10 user data. So is that clear, everyone? That is the basic concept how MongoDB works. That's the basic fundamental concept. So everyone, are we cleared? And yes, Aswath, it's exactly like Firebase. Firebase also works like that. Yes. I hope everyone is clear with the basic concept. Okay. Okay, that's cool. Now we don't need anything else. That's the basic understanding that we need to have. And MongoDB is one of the simplest databases to use. If you compare it with SQL, MongoDB is much, much, much more simpler to work with because it like looks very familiar, looks very easy. Okay. So now let's close it. We don't need it anymore. Okay. And now let's just go like do a recap of yesterday. So if you just go for like if you want to download MongoDB in your PC, you simply search for like MongoDB download. So MongoDB community download. So you just go here, MongoDB community download. It's a free MongoDB server that you'll get for your PC. So you just click on this. Here, depending on your PC, you'll get a download button. All the options will be depending on your PC. So you don't have to worry about it. All the files that are selected here, all the things that are selected here are according to your PC. Now, in this case, I need Windows. Where is Windows? Yep, here we go, Windows. It was already selected. What you say, changed it. Download it. After downloading, simply install it, just like a normal software. Next, 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 and just check on everything. Okay. And while installing, there will be an option. I think if you have installed it, you might have seen it. There is an option, install MongoDB Compass. I think if you have installed it, you have seen it. There's also an option called install MongoDB Compass. Just check on it and install it. So if you check it and install it completely, you get two things. You basically get two things. First thing is you get a MongoDB server. That means a database server, which will basically start the database. Okay. That means you can work with it. Just like you have your project server that keeps your project running. You also have a MongoDB server that keeps your MongoDB server running so that you can store your data, retrieve your data, and do everything. Is that clear? So you also have a MongoDB server. So the first thing that you get here is a MongoDB server. Second thing that you get is something called as a tool, that is MongoDB Compass. That's a designed tool, that's a GUI tool that makes your life easier so that you don't have to write commands and queries. So that you don't have to write commands and queries. You can simply create databases, create collections, work with documents and everything by just simple button clicks. So Compass is nothing but a GUI tool that helps you to work with MongoDB, that helps you to work with MongoDB. Normally, if you don't use Compass, you have to write queries like SQL. You have to write queries. You have to create models and write queries to work with the database. But if you have Compass, it's a simple GUI tool where you can simply do everything on button click. Like, okay, fine, I want to create a database. Click on the button, write the name of the database, hit enter, database created. Click on a button, write the collection name, hit enter, collection created. But if you don't have Compass, you have to write queries to do these things. Create collection, create database, you have to write these queries. So for this particular course, we are using Compass because we don't have a lot of days. We only have 2 days. So we also have to save time. So for this particular course, we are working with what? Compass. Maybe in future, when we have a proper MongoDB essentials, I'm going to teach you all the queries. I'll like show you literally all the queries so that you don't need Compass. But remember guys, Compass makes your life easier. So once you install this, you'll get two things, MongoDB server and Compass. Server is internally like stored and it's up and running so that you can work with MongoDB, and Compass will help you to store data, create database, create data, retrieve data, do everything that you want to do with the MongoDB server. Is that clear, everyone? So I hope you guys have installed it. So once you install it, MongoDB server is there internally. You don't have to worry about it. Now what we want to open here is MongoDB Compass, the software, the tool that we have installed. So let's open it. Let's see everything about it. So here we go. Let me just get it from the next window. Here we go. It is opening. Sometimes it takes a little time. And here we go. It's open now. So this is, remember guys, Compass is just a GUI tool. The database that you create, the data that you store, everything goes in the MongoDB server. Compass is like a tool that helps you to work with the server. So if you write queries, you're directly communicating with the server, and you're also using Compass to communicate with the server. So all the database that you create, everything that you do, basically goes and gets stored in the server. Your data comes from the server. Compass is just a tool that connects you with the server. Okay, and it gives you a good way of working with the data. Is that clear? And you can also connect Compass to a remote database. Now, currently, the MongoDB server is installed in my PC. That means it's a local MongoDB server. But you can also connect Compass to a remote server that is somewhere else. But that is something you'll understand in future. Don't worry about it right now. Okay. So now let's get ahead and let's start doing it. Okay. So now the first thing that you have to do is, now see, you can just come here. Now see, this is the server name, that is localhost. Why it is localhost? Because it is simply a local server. So localhost, this is the port number it is running on. Now, if you want to connect any other server, other than your local server, you simply have to write the host name and the port number. If it's a remote server, come here, simply write the like the server name, not localhost, your server name and your port number. Currently, I'm connecting my Compass to my local server. So it's the server name is localhost and this is the port number. And currently, I don't need any kind of authentication. If I'm connecting to a live server somewhere, it might need authentication, but right now I don't need it. And here we go, hit connect. And you can see all these 4 databases, right? Now, these are all 4 databases that are already there. Now, this test was created by me, but these 3 will find always admin, config, local. These 3 databases will always be present in your server. This test, I created it yesterday just to check if my things are working. So now, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a new database. So let me just make it big and zoom it for you. I hope you can see everything now. So here we go, Sai. See guys, here we go. Now you don't have to write any queries. Simply click on create database and here we go. Write a database name. So let's call it, just for now, let's call it like Pokemon. Okay, so my database name is Pokemon. Simple, Pokemon, because we are going to create a Pokemon API, right? So let's simply say Pokemon. Now, what MongoDB says is, whenever you create a database, at least your database should have one collection. If it is not having any collection, then what is the need of your database? So whenever you create a database, it asks you to put at least one collection here. Okay. So let's simply say, okay, let's not say Pokemon as our database name. Let's say, yeah, that's fine. Poke data, something like that. You can call it anything. Let me call it Poke data. Okay. So Poke underscore data. And then I want to create a collection in which I'm going to store all my Pokemons. So I'm going to name it Pokemons. Okay, because in this, I'm going to store all my Pokemons. So Pokedata is my database name. And inside that, I have one collection that is Pokemons. And then simply hit create database. Yeah, you can also call it Poke API. Why not? Yeah, that's a good name. Let's call it Poke API. Why not? Let's call it Poke API. Yep, here we go. Create database. Now in some time, yeah, here we go. Now we have what is mean by Pokemons. Okay, now just to give you some info, I think everyone knows it, but not a problem. Just to give you some info, Pokemon was a very famous cartoon. Now it also comes in TV right now, but it was a very famous cartoon in our childhood, where we simply used in that you have animals with special ability that humans can catch, train them, and fight with them. So they were like super animals, just like superheroes. They were super animals. Okay, and based on that cartoon, we are simply going to store the characters. So they are called Pokemons. That's all. That super animals are called Pokemons. Is that clear? Pokemon API is a package like Express. No, see, we are not using Pokemon API. We are building our own Pokemon API, Geetika. Is that cleared? We are not going to use any already there Pokemon API. No, already existing Pokemon. We are creating our own API. We are simply going to fill every data. We are creating our own API. Is that cleared? So we don't have to use any package or anything like that. We are simply creating an API. That's it. Nothing else. We're not using anything here additional. So now just click on, now see, yes, you guys saw that, right? I clicked on the Poke API and inside that I have this Pokemon's collection. And you can see it here. Currently, it has documents 0. That means 0 documents, no sizing, no total size, nothing. And current index size is 4 KB. That's it. That's the database size currently. So 0 documents. Now you can go inside this database, Pokemon, sorry, not database, in this collection, and you can see there's nothing here right now. Okay, there's nothing here right now. So now, okay, so you also didn't know about Pokemon's, Geetika? Not a problem. Now you know, right? It's super animals that humans can catch and train, just like superhero. Okay. So now, guys, we are in the Pokemon's collection, and you can see, sir, are you using Express in Node? Yes, Mohammed, I'm using Express in Node, buddy. So now, guys, you can see I don't have any data. Nothing is there. You can see the collection has no data. Now I want to add some data. So you can simply go on this button, click on it. Now it says either you can import a file. That means either you can create a file of list of documents and directly import it. So all the data will be transferred. Or simply you can insert documents one by one. And for now, I'm simply going to say insert document and I'm going to write my own document. So you can remove everything from here. And now let me just zoom it a little more. I hope you can see it, guys. See, it's just like an object, just like an object, just like a JS object. Okay, so you can simply go ahead and write, okay, fine, name. Right now I'm just putting dummy data. So let's say name, Bulbasaur, and let's say type grass. So these are the two data that I want for this Pokemon. Okay, for now it says just dummy data. So you can see it here, how simple it is, right? Looks exactly like a JavaScript object, right? Everyone looks exactly like a JavaScript object. That's what a document is. And simply say, okay, there's some issues. Okay, what is the issue that we have? Do I have to like put this in double quotes as well? Okay, yeah. So you also have to put that. I think I have zoomed it a lot. If I zoom it this much, see, simple. I think now that's the maximum zoom. I cannot zoom it more than this. This is the maximum zoom. You can see, right, everyone? Okay, is it done? This is what I have did. Just like a JS object, right? Name, Bulbasaur, just like JSON, type grass. Simple. Two properties, two values. Now let me just zoom it out again because I need that button. And here we go. Insert. And that's it. See? I hope everyone can see it, right? Here we have the first document. Name, Bulbasaur, type grass, and there is one more thing that MongoDB adds internally for you. That is this ID property, in which it is simply an ID that is stored here. That's it. Simple ID. Just like SQL, you have IDs for all the records so that your record can be uniquely identified. Is that clear, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? So ID is added so that every record can be unique in some way. So that's why we have ID, so that this record is unique. Is that clear, everyone? So every document that we create will have an ID, and you don't have to worry about it. MongoDB will generate it internally. You don't have to worry about it. Like, for example, if I add one more document, let's say I just go here, remove this, I don't need it. And let's say I again put name. Now I'll tell you what name I'm putting here. Let's say I put name as Charizard. Okay. And then let's say I put type as fire, because Charizard is a fire Pokemon, right? So fire. Okay. So now Zaid, yes, you can make your own ID, buddy. Why not? You can make it, but you should not do it normally, because then you have to also take care of auto incrementing it and creating it again and again. So yes, you can make it if you want, but that's not recommended. That's not a good practice actually. And again, insert, and here we go. Now we have two documents. You can see, right? Name type, Bulbasaur, grass type, some ID, Charizard, fire type, some ID. Is that clear? So yes, if you want, you can create your own ID, but that is not suggested, because then you have to take care of it. So just use whatever MongoDB is giving you. Simple, right? If you create your own IDs, then you have to take care of it always. Auto incrementing it, changing it every time for each and every document. Then you have to take care of all the other collections as well. Okay, fine. For us, this time, this much is fine. Yes, yes, Chandresh, it's like a JSON format. Yes, yes. Is that cleared? So document exactly looks like a JS object or some like JSON object. You can say that, because we are putting everything as a string. But you know that JSON also looks exactly like JS object. So all of them like are related. JSON is made using JavaScript objects. It looks exactly like JS object. So this also exactly looks like JS object, or you can also say JSON. But are we cleared at least, everyone? Are we cleared? Yes, object ID is unique for documents. Yes, Shivakumar. Yes, it's unique. It is generated by MongoDB and it is unique. Okay. So that's how it works, guys. And see, here you have options. You can edit it, you can copy it, you can clone it, or you can delete it. Okay. So in Compass, you have all these options simply. If you want, click on edit and you can change the name. Like, let's say I say bay leaf. Totally up to you. Update. So you can simply update it like this. Click on edit, edit it, copy it, paste it somewhere, clone it. If I click on clone, a copy will be created. See, like this. I can change the names and insert it again. But I don't want it right now, so that's fine. So I can also what clone, or finally I can delete. If I want, I can delete. That's it. So Compass basically gives you a simple way of working with things. Now see, currently you're seeing them in list view. It also gives you this view. See, you also get the object view. It will look like this then. See? So it also looks like this. You can also view the table view like this. See? Venkat, I'm going to introduce that. Don't worry. But yes, for now, I'm going to use Mongoose. So don't worry about it. Okay, guys. So are we cleared? What is the meaning of underscore before ID? No, nothing. It's just a name that is given. That's it. They have just given it underscore ID. That's it. Zayed, there's no meaning to it. They have just used underscore ID. That's it. Is that cleared, everyone? Guys, are we cleared? Please tell me. So you have different views, and I think for me, this is the first favorite. This is my first favorite view. I always keep it like this, or I watch the table one. I don't like this one too much. It looks very simple and normal, right? So I like this one. Mostly I keep it like this because I have all these options here and everything, right? So that's how. Now, see, there are still a lot like a lot of things in Compass, but right now, for starters, you only need to know this. If you even if you know this, you can create any project. You don't need to understand this aggregation schema, all this right now. This much is fine for you. For the starters, this much is fine. And don't worry, you can explore it more. You can understand what are the other things. But as a software developer and for the starter person, this much is enough. Now, see guys, Compass is just a tool that is connected to MongoDB server. Now, if I want, now you guys have to understand, Compass is just displaying this data. All this data is actually stored in the MongoDB server. We can use online MongoDB platform for Node.js also. Yes, why not, Siddesh? The connection is important. You're not going to connect Node to Compass. We're going to connect Node to MongoDB server. See, Compass is just a tool that is connected to the MongoDB server. All this data that you see here, all the data that you create goes to the MongoDB server. Now, we are going to learn how to connect our Node.js project to the MongoDB server so that we can get this data there and also create some data from there. So Compass was a tool and our project is another tool that will be connected to MongoDB server. And we can also create data like this and get data like this. Is that clear, everyone? Are we cleared? Right? I hope we are cleared with this. Everyone, please tell me, are we cleared with this? So now, yes, I told this because a lot of people think that Compass is the server. No, Compass is just a tool. It works with the server, and your program is also going to work with the server. Everything is getting stored in the server. So whatever data you insert through Compass, you can get it in your Node.js program because you're connected to the same server. Compass connecting to the server, Node.js program connecting to the server. You can get your data. Simple. Same data. You can create a data from Compass and get that exact same data in your project. Server is important. Server. Cool then. Let's minimize it and let's see how to connect your Node.js program with the MongoDB server. And it's really simple. But now, first of all, if you want to connect and work with MongoDB server, there is a third-party package that helps you in this. It gives you all the like important functionalities and tools that you need to work with MongoDB server. So if you want to work with MongoDB server, there is a third-party package that you have to use. And the third-party package name is Mongoose. Just like you have Express that helps you to create API endpoints, you have Mongoose that helps you to connect with MongoDB server and work with it. So again, we have to install that. Okay. So first of all, in this project, let's install the package that we need. And the package name is Mongoose. Just like we install Express. Simple. npm install Mongoose. Wait for a second and it will get installed. So now guys, Mongoose is also installed. Sorry, Mongoose is also installed. And now we have to use all the functionalities provided by Mongoose to work with the MongoDB server. Okay, everyone. So can we start, guys? Come on, guys, tell me, can we start? Everyone, can we start? And now let me remove all of this. Yeah, this much is fine. This much is fine. Let me remove this. We don't need this. And let me remove the endpoints. Now let me just remove the endpoints. We don't need it right now. Let me remove the endpoints. We are again gonna make it, so not a problem. The basics are there. Okay. We need this middleware because we're going to transfer data. So leave it. We need this object, and here this start and like launch of the server. Now here we'll do the connection part and the API endpoint part. So let's get ahead. So first of all, the first important thing is you have to import the package. You have installed it, but you have not imported it, right? Just like you import the Express package, you also have to like import the Mongoose package. So let's do it. Const. Again, I'm going to name the variable as Mongoose so that there is no confusion. Equals require Mongoose. So now all the functionalities that this Mongoose package provides are stored in this Mongoose variable, and we can use it now. All the functionalities that this Mongoose package provides are stored in this Mongoose variable or object, you can call it. And now we can use it. So now let's get ahead and use this Mongoose object, which is holding all the important functionalities. So the first thing that we're going to see is how to connect your project, your Node.js file, your Node.js project to the MongoDB server. And it's going to be really easy. Okay, it's really simple. Okay, so now what you have to do is simply write mongoose dot. There's a function called connect. Mongoose object dot connect function. And here you simply pass the string, the URL string, the name of the server, the port number of the server, and everything. Okay, so that goes like this: MongoDB colon double slash. What is the server name? Localhost. We know that, right? What was the port number, guys? Let's see it. You have it here, right? It was 27007. So let's go there in your code and again put 27. Okay, let me see it. 017. Yeah, 017. Simply what I'm doing is I'm simply connecting my project to my server. So I have the server port number, I have the server name, and slash. Now my MongoDB server can have a lot of databases, right? Like it is having admin, it is having local, it is having test, it is having Poke API database. So I also have to mention which database I want to connect. So I want to connect with what? Poke API. And that's it. Done. MongoDB colon double slash localhost colon 27017 and Poke API. And that's it. Which driver is better, MongoDB package or Mongoose package? See, personally, I use Mongoose package. So a lot of people also use Mongo client, but personally, I prefer Mongoose package because I find it easier and simpler. So I have never compared it actually, Venkat, but personally, I prefer Mongoose because it's much more easier. And the queries of Mongoose look exactly like normal MongoDB queries. So you don't have to learn new things. It's quite understandable and easy. So Venkat, I personally prefer Mongoose. Is that clear, Venkat? Because the commands of Mongoose look exactly similar like your MongoDB commands, the real MongoDB commands. Okay. So guys, this is the connection string that you have to mention if you want to connect. And then after this, remember guys, by default, the connect function, of MongoDB, this Mongoose, uses the old URL parser. So there was a URL parser that used to parse this URL. So by default, the connect function uses the old URL parser. Now it will normally work, but for some people and in some PCs, it may cause some errors. How to get the link of the database? Okay, fine. I'll tell you. See, either when you open your compass, let me open it again for you. When you open your compass, I'll show you. When you open your compass, it is written there. You can see it. Let me open it again. See this? See this? But it's also having username and password. You don't need this much. So that's how you write the URL. See, localhost is your name. You can see it here. You can see everything here. Localhost is the name, right? If I zoom it, see, localhost is the name, port number is 27017. Simple. And no authentication. That means no username and password. So simple. This is the URL, MongoDB colon double slash your server name colon port number. Just like you access a web application, you're accessing the MongoDB server. Just like you access any normal server. But here you don't have HTTP because MongoDB server is not on the web. Right? It's not a web application. It's not a web server. It's a MongoDB server. Okay, and that's it. And at the end, slash your database, Poke API. And yes, as I told you, by default, it uses the old parser. So sometimes you may face some issues. So what you have to do is put up a comma after connection string, and then in your object literal, pass a parameter. Use new. So I'm not getting any hints here, but that's fine. URL parser and make it true. That's it. I don't know if I have any spelling mistakes here, but I think it should be working. Okay, so you simply have to pass this option. Use new URL parser true, and that's it. Use new URL parser true. Simple. I don't know if I have made any spelling mistakes here, but that's fine. I think this is the correct one. Okay, so you have to mention this so that you're saying connect function fine. Please use the new URL parser. Don't use the old one. I want to use the new one, and that's it. Put up a comma. Okay. Now, if the connection is successful, this callback function is called. So you can simply pass a console.log in this. Simply pass console.log Mongo server connected. Just simply pass this. That's it. Simply pass this. Remember, guys, if the connection is successful, this callback function is called. So if you get this Mongo server connected, it means it is working. Now let's see if it is working. Let's see. Let's run npm start and let's see. And I have a lot of errors here. Oh, I don't have any. I cannot do npm start because I don't have a script. What is our command? Nodemon, right? Nodemon index.js. Sorry, I forgot that. I have not made an npm command till now. Let's see, and here we go. We got server is running. That is this one. Server is running, and the next one is Mongo server connected. Sabri use new URL parser is simply, see, connect function basically parses this URL. Okay, connect function basically parses this URL to connect to the database, to connect to the server. So by default, it uses the old parser. I'm forcing it to use the new parser. That's why I have to mention this, use new URL parser, true. So that is, it uses the new parser. By default, it uses the old parser. And I don't want that because sometimes old parser creates error. That's why I'm simply mentioning use new URL parser true. That's it. Why MongoDB is printed secondly in the output? Because first your server starts, right? First your server starts. If the server is not starting, how your project will run? And if the project is not running, how this thing will run? Is that clear, Sivakumar? That's why it is secondary. Because first your project will run, right? First your project will start executing and then it will execute. No, I changed it, Suraj. I changed it. Someone suggested to use Pokey API. So I changed it to Pokey API actually. I changed it to Pokey API. Now it's like, see, now it's Pokey API. I changed the name. Simple. I changed the name. I changed the name to Pokey API. Okay, I simply changed the name to Pokey API. You can see it. Okay, everyone. Didn't get the MongoDB connected log message. If we create our own server, no, then there is no need to host. You can host it in your own server. Why not? You can definitely host it on your server if you create your own server. Why not? A lot of people do that. They have their own server, but simply it's like tough to manage, and you need simply a lot of money to create a server so big that it can like pass data to the world. So yeah, but you can create it. Why not? Gitika, we don't use it now. No, there's no need to use it now. Earlier you used to specify it, but actually there's no need to specify it now. If you go on the official documentation of Mongoose, they told it that you don't need it to now. They have like resolved it internally. So now you don't need to do it. Okay. Hanil is asking, I'm not able to connect. Hanil, then I have to see it, buddy. What is your error? I have to see it. There might be a path issue then. Just go in your, what do you say, system environment variables and check if you have a Mongo path there. Okay, you can just troubleshoot this, Hanil. Just go in your system variables path and try to see if there is a Mongo path there. If it is not there, that means that is the problem. Just check it once. You can just check it once, Hanil. Yes. See, Zahid, as I told you yesterday, we are not doing Node.js. Node.js is just an environment, Zahid. We are still doing JavaScript. It is still JavaScript. Is that clear, Zahid? It is still JavaScript. It's not Node.js. Node.js is not a language. It's simply the environment. That's it. That helps you to run JavaScript outside the browser. We are still writing JavaScript. So console.log is still the same. Okay, guys. So now we have connected to the database. And now we have to understand, sir, please repeat the concept, repeat the compass DB making part in make. Please repeat the compass DB. Okay, creating database part. Do this right, simple. Just click on create database, buddy. Just do this. Click on create database, put a database name, put a collection name, and that's it. Click on create database, simple. Right? Suraj, just go on this button, click on create database, put a database name, put your collection name, and click on create database. That's it. Simple. Suraj, that's it. That's how simple it is to create database. Is that clear, Suraj? Like just to show you, let me just create a demo database. So I put demo and I put like a D name collection. That's fine. Just a simple collection, D. Done. Here we go. See, now we have a demo database and inside that I have a D collection. I hope it is cleared now. I just made it once again, but I want to use Poke API and Pokemon's collection. Okay. Now guys, the database is connected and now we are good to go. Now we are good to start working with the database. So guys, can we start now? Can we see how to get data from database in our project? Everyone, come on, tell me. Can we start understanding that? Everyone, come on, show me some excitement. Because now we are going to see how to actually get data from database. So for that, right now I'm not creating any API. I'm simply writing a normal code. I'm not creating any API. I'm simply writing a normal code. Okay, I'm simply writing a normal code. So let's do it. Okay, let's do it. So I'm simply creating a simple function here. Okay, so function get data. Okay, I simply create a function named get data. Inside this function, I'm going to write the logic of getting data from the database, and it's really simple. But before all of this, guys, before all of this, you have to create a schema and a model, right? Let's just omit this function for now. Now guys, see, this is like, okay, database connection is done, but now to work with the collection, you have to create a schema and a model. That is very important. So let's do that first. Let's create a schema and a model. Okay, so let's create them one by one, and I'm going to explain you what is schema and what is model. So first of all, to work with any collection, you have to create a schema in your Node.js program. You have to create a schema. Okay, schema is nothing but the structure and the rules and regulations for that collection. Schema is nothing but the structure and the rules and regulations for that particular collection. So when Node.js tries to put some data into your collection, it will follow the schema. So schema is nothing but the structure and the rules and regulations for that particular collection. So whenever Node.js tries to put some data, it will follow that schema. It will follow the rules and regulations. So let's create the schema first. So always while connecting to a collection, you always have to create a schema. So let's do that. Just like a create table statement. So let's do it. Let, or you can also put const here. That's fine. So let's name it const Pokemon schema. Let's call it Pokemon schema. You can call it anything. You have to put equals to new mongoose dot schema. Now here you mention what properties you want to create in that schema. So I want a name property, which will be type of string, just like a create table statement. That means you're telling the Node.js program that if you're trying to enter the name of the Pokemon, it should be string. You cannot enter number. Otherwise, it will never be like inserted. So it's just like a structure that you're creating that your Node.js program will follow while entering the data into your collection. So that's it. Name string. And I also want to store type. So let's say type, and type will be also string. Then I also want to store image URL. So I'll say image URL, which will be also of type string. Okay. And for now, these three are fine. Like just for starters, these three things are fine. Name, type, and image URL. So the screen is not clear. Akash, I feel the screen is clear, right? You simply have to improve the quality, because I'm so sorry, buddy, but I'm also watching it on YouTube and it's perfectly clear. Just improve the quality, Akash. Try to improve the quality of the video. Maybe that will work. Or you might be having some internet issues currently. That will be solved. Yes, but we are not putting image. We are simply going to put image URL. That is a less costly operation, less memory operation. Okay. So why you not added then catch on DB connection? Tell me, please. Right now you don't need to. Right now it was confirmed that we're going to connect it. So right now there is no need to add a catch here. We are like, I'm using a very low level JavaScript currently. I'm not directly using the high level one with the promises. I'm trying to use the low level JavaScript. What is the difference between Nano and Mongoose? I have never used Nano. I have only used Mongoose. So I can't tell you the difference, budding, because I have never used Nano. I've only used Mongo client and Mongoose. Okay. And I find Mongoose much more easier. So I've never used Nano. Maybe I'll try it in future and then I can give you feedback, budding. Okay. So now guys, I have, and also let me just go there in MongoDB and let me just remove all this data, because they are also not following the schema, right? So it's a problematic data. Delete these two data. Delete it. Delete it. So currently our data is also cleared. Our collection is cleared. That means collection is having nothing. Now I have created a schema, okay, which will have name, type, and image URL. Everyone, please focus. You will understand. You will understand. Now we need to connect this schema to our collection. Now we need to connect the schema to the collection so that whenever we enter a document, it will understand that we always have to follow the schema. That means it should have this name, type, and image URL properties. Otherwise, I'll not enter it. Okay, is that clear? And you should never have any other property other than this. Yes, just like headers. Exactly. It's just a structure. That's it. Yes, 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 Mohammed. Yes, Shabas. Yes, Asubat. Okay. Schema is like you're mentioning the columns as well as you're mentioning the rules and regulation. You're also mentioning the types that, okay, name should be string, type should be string, image URL should be string. Is that clear, everyone? Now, you need to connect this schema to your collection. And for that, we create a model. Okay, and it's again simple. So you can again say const, let's call it Pokemon model. So Pokemon model equals to new mongoose dot model. Inside this, you pass the two things. Okay, first you pass your collection. So I'm trying to connect the Pokemon's collection, right? What is the name of the collection, guys? Collection name is Pokemons. See, the collection name is Pokemons. So I'm saying this is the collection and this is my schema that this collection should follow. So Pokemon schema, and that's it. And I think there's a problem with the model. I think, yeah, it's small model, not capital M. It should be small m. And that's it. Schema and model. Here you have simply said, okay, fine, this collection will follow this schema. That means whenever you put some and try to enter some data in this Pokemon schema, it will always follow this particular schema, that you should have a name, type, and image URL. Other than this, I'll not accept. And you have to always pass string for name, string for type, and string for image URL. Is that clear, everyone? Can you also explain multer in this? Yes, let's see if we get time at the end. But it's again like a file uploading thing, so it will take time. So let's see if we get time at the end. So guys, are we cleared? Please tell me, everyone, are we cleared? So we have created schema, we have created a model. In model, we specify which collection we are using, and it is connected to which schema. And now we are going to use this model object to do everything. Now we are going to use this model object to do everything, to insert data, to retrieve data, because in this model only we have specified this is my collection and this is the schema that it has to follow. That's it. So simple. Suraj buddy, it's simple. I created a simple object Pokemon model. I said new mongoose.model. We are simply creating model. Model is nothing but it's simply a reference of your collection. See, you cannot use your Mongo collection directly in the program, right? You cannot use your Mongo collection because it's a Mongo collection. You cannot use it here. So model is just a reference of your collection. You create a model and you say which collection this model is following. It is following Pokemon's collection. And it also specifies which schema your collection should follow. It should follow Pokemon schema. That's it. And now we have to use this model to do everything. To insert data, to retrieve data, to delete data, to do anything inside this collection, we're going to use this model object. Is that clear, everyone? So this is the schema for Pokemon's collection. So if you have multiple collections, you have to create multiple schemas and multiple models. For a single collection, you create a schema and a model. That means if you have 10 collections, you have to create 10 schemas and 10 models. Simple. Model for Pokemon's collection that will be used for all the operations. Simple. That's it. Schema ready, model ready, and now we are good to go. And everyone, please just tell me in the chat once, are we understanding everything? Okay, now let's activate this function again. And inside this function, I'm going to write logic. I'm going to write the logic to get the data from the database. I'm going to write the logic to get the data from the database. Okay, so let's get started. And that's really, really simple. Okay, so what you can do is you can do this. Now let's say I want to get data. Okay, as I told you, to work with the collection, you're going to use this model. So first of all, let's go ahead. Pokemon model dot model has a function that is named as find. So simply pass find, and find will find the data that you need. Find will simply get all the data for you. Find will simply get all the data for you. Okay, inside find you can pass a function. It returns two things, either the error or the data. So if there is an issue, you'll get the error. If there is no issue, you'll get data, and that's it. And I'm damn sure right now we're not going to get any error. So let's simply console.log the data for now. Simple, guys. Pokemodel.find. Find is a function that retrieves all the data from the database, from the collection. Find is a function that retrieves all the documents from the collection. And inside that, you pass a function which is called when the data is retrieved. So if there is some problem while retrieving data, you'll get error. If there's no problem inside data, you'll get all the data. So currently I'm thinking that there will be no error. So I'm simply printing the whole data thing. You can also write like this, like just to confirm. If error is equal to null, that means there is no error, then only print the data. So if you have any error, you can print the error. If you don't have it, print the data. And that's it. Take it, paste it here. If you have any error, you can put a else and just write any error messages. That's it, whatever you want. So if error is null, print the data. That means there is no error. If there is no error, print the data. But currently, we don't have any data. So let's create a dummy data. But we have to follow the schema. So let's follow the schema. Like if you're creating data from here, you don't have to follow the schema, but let's follow the rule at least. Let's follow the rule, our own rule. So remove this. Guys, I'm simply putting name. And let's say we write what you call as, yeah, Bulbasaur. Then let's say we put type. We write grass. And what was the last thing, guys, that we are putting? What is the last thing that we are following the schema? Image URL. Yeah. So let's go ahead and use image URL. Now let's go and get an image URL. Let's go on the browser, search for Bulbasaur, go to images and get any image, depending whatever you want. So you can take any image like this one. It's totally fine. Okay, it's a big image. You can also take this one. It's totally fine. Oh, it's already big. Let's take this one. So you can just simply right click, copy the image address. Don't download the image. Just copy the image address, get in here and paste it. That's it. And now insert. And here we go. Now one data is created. Let's clone it. Let's create two. Clone it. Okay, a lot of people are saying Pikachu. So let's go ahead and write Pikachu. Type is what? Electric. And let's get a new URL for this. So search for Pikachu. Let's take this one. This is fine. Yeah. Oh, it's very big. It's very big. It's very big. Yeah. Let's take this one. Right click, copy image address again. Just go there. Okay, in your MongoDB, sorry. And remove this and paste the new one. Insert. And here we go. Now we have two documents. Okay. Now we have data ready. So let's see if in our console we are printing data. So let's call this function. Let's call this get data function. Okay. We have not called it. So let's call it get data. And now if it is working perfectly fine, we should get our data. And okay, there's some problem. What is it? There's some issue. Okay, there's some issue. Let me just check it once, guys. Now see, I'm not using promises here. That's why like it might create some problems. But let me just see if it is working in this case again. No, there's an issue directly. Okay, let's not work with it this way. Let me use normal JavaScript again. Let me remove all of this. Okay, and I think after this I can simply do dot then. Let me just test it, guys, once. Let me just test it. I think in this case it will work. Then, and here I'm going to receive my data. Data. Let me see, guys, if it is working. Or maybe then I have to use promises. It accepts at least two. Why do we have to? Okay. Do we really have to? Find should be working, right? Am I creating any issues here? At least 2 arguments, but I don't want to pass any argument. I want to fetch all the data. Then file shouldn't be working. Data is null right now. No, we should get it right. We have created it. Data should not be null in this case. And it is only printing, right? Yes, it's correct name, Pokemon model. Yeah, it's correct. Let me just try this, maybe. Am I making a mistake here? Yeah, I know it's a promise, but I'm like using the simpler way of understanding it, like creating it. Oh, and yes, yeah, sorry, I forgot. No, it's still creating a problem. I think I'm not calling some functions here, some proper functions maybe. Why is that happening? Sir, will create collection as Pokemons, use async and await. Yes, I'm trying to use, but no, I'm making a mistake here actually. I think, is it deprecated? It should not be like that, right? And we don't have any MongoDB extensions here. That's why I'm not getting any kind of hints actually. Let's see, do we have any kind of Mongoose extensions that we can install that will give us hints? Let's see. Okay, let's install this. Let's see if this extension helps us in creating the Mongo objects and everything. No, we still don't get anything. I'm making any mistake. Try using find one. Yeah, we can try find one at least. But in find one, then we have to mention it, right? Like we have to mention something that we want to find. So we can like pass name Pikachu. Okay, guys, first of all, we have to see the, okay, now we get find. Find one is working. Why find is not working? Find one is working. Why find is not working? I think like is find a function, like have they replaced it? Okay, let's see. Mongoose find all. Let's see, do we have find or is it replaced with something? Find one is there, we have used it. Use try catch. Yeah, we can definitely go for try catch, but I think first of all you have to see if find is even a function now. Why do we have to pass blank? Oh, they are telling me to pass this thing. But we did the exact same thing, right? We were still getting error. We did the exact same thing. I passed this first parameter. Okay, we have to pass a blank thing. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. That's, I know that find is a function, but I'm just thinking that have they deprecated it? Because our thing was also not working, right? Like, see, I don't want to use async and await because a lot of people from you don't know this async and await thing, right? You don't know promises thing. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to simply use callback functions, but it is still not working. See, even if I use find and I pass a blank parameter like this, it was still not working, right? This thing was also not working, right? See, we still get error. Why is this thing not working? At most 2 arguments. So we have passed 2 arguments, right? We have passed 2 arguments. Do you guys any idea about this? Can we add more than one data in a type? Yes, you can add more than one data in a property. Then you have to create an array. Find one only return like first, or if you pass anything like that. But why find is not working properly? In our case, find should work. Don't worry, we'll solve it. Don't worry about it. No, here we don't use request response. No, Suraj. No, 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 no. It's not an API endpoint. We are not getting an API endpoint, right? Here we don't have to use any kind of request or response. Um, why is this not working? It should be working. Yes, we have the query. We have the query correct. We have passing a. I don't know. I don't know. I used it. It should be working actually. Why is this not working? See, I don't want to use await and async because I want to make it simple. But here we go. See, they are also doing the exact same thing. They are also doing the exact same thing. Maybe finds needs array of IDs. No, 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 no. See, we simply want to get load all the data. That's it. We simply want to load all the data and it should be working. See, they are also doing the exact same thing. See, exact same thing. No, no, we don't have to pass anything. It's simply confusing now. Are we making any kind of mistake here? Because find should be working. Mm, okay, not a problem. Let's use async and await then. Let's use it because there's an issue here. I don't understand why are we getting this issue. So let's use async and await, and let's see if this works with normally. Then we don't have to do this function now. We simply have to store this data and pass await here so that the promise is handled. It's much more simpler actually to write. So console.log. I really hope that you guys know this JavaScript. I was trying to use simple low-level JavaScript, but I think now we have to go for this. We're still getting it? No. Let's have a get at the end. No, right? Why is find not working? We can do that, but it's same. It's same. Making any mistake here? I didn't expect this error to come like this because yesterday I tried it and it was working perfectly fine. See, const and let doesn't matter in this case. What are they doing? They are doing nothing. They are doing nothing, right? They should be working. It should be working actually. I don't know why find is not working. Is this working for them? Let's see. They're always passing something. Why is that? What if I need all the data? It is collection. Yeah, collection is the collection name. You can pass anything there. Don't worry. You can pass the model there. It's totally fine. You can pass anything. And see, if I'm using async and await, there's no need to put that. I don't know what is the problem. Am I forgetting any function name here? Yeah, I did the exact same thing, right? You're telling me to have a normal function. I simply used arrow function. It works exactly same, Anish. Let's see, getting all the data in Mongoose. Um, let's see, let's see. See, they are simply using find. That's it. They are simply using find. What is our problem then? Is there some issue going on? It should be actually working. Should we get it again? Get the mongoose package again? Because yes, because I think the code is perfect. It should be working. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, let's write it in the endpoint, guys. Just one thing. Let's write this in an endpoint. Okay, not a normal function. Let's write this out in an endpoint. Everyone, let's do it. App.get. Maybe the asynchronous way of working with this is creating a problem. Let's write down as an endpoint. So let's get a get request. Okay, let's call it get data. Let's simply say req res. Guys, just wait. Let's try it in the endpoint. Maybe the asynchronous behavior of this is not working perfectly fine. Put a async here because we're going to use await, and let's use this inside the endpoint. Now we don't need to do this. Don't worry, guys. Let's try it once. Let's try it inside a. Now see, to call this, we have to use what? We have to call get data and also send a response. Oh, now let's send a dummy response. That's fine. Hello. That's it. That's fine. So now we have to call get data and see if it is working. Okay, everyone. Let's try. Not a problem, guys. Not a problem. Things like this happens. Not a problem. Let's open Thunder client and let's see. Yes, by using that we can get output using. Yes. The problem is why it is not working normally. If it is working with endpoint, it should be working, right? Let's create a new request. Let's pass http :/ yesterday's thing, localhost :8000/get data. Okay, fine. Get no headers at all. I don't need any headers. So remove it. And now let's test it, guys. Send and see everyone. Now we get it. So I think the asynchronous behavior is causing the problem, everyone. See, now it works. You can see that, right, guys? So I think the asynchronous behavior was causing a little bit of problems. Now let's remove this. I think it will also work without this. Should be also working without this. Let's see. See, it's working. So find is working, guys. The problem is it is working in an endpoint, but it's not working in a normal function. So that might be the asynchronous behavior problem, and we can sort it out. But don't worry, it's working in the endpoint. So I should have actually done it in the endpoint. I tried to show you in a normal function, but not a problem. See, so the thing is, the normal thing works. We have to find out why that error is coming or why it is not working in normal function. So the code was not a problem. There was no need to search anything at all. We searched it because we thought that we are doing some mistake, but we were not doing any kind of mistake. Is that clear, everyone? And remember, guys, when you're a coder, when you're a developer, things like this happens. I actually wanted to show you first in a normal function, then in an endpoint, but not a problem. In an endpoint, it's normally working. Is that clear, everyone? And yes, guys, see, always remember, model is model. Don't do anything to it. Don't think like we have to use Pokemon. You never use your collection here. As I told you in the start, right? Model is your what? Is the reference of that collection. You're always going to use the model. So see, anytime you're trying to solve an error, don't just blindly do things. Stick to the basics. See, I was sure that model will be there. I don't have to use any collection here. I don't have to try it even because I know that model, I have to use model only because that's the basic, right? That's the basic. So just to solve errors, never hamper your basics. If the basic is that we have to use model, then yeah, we have to use model. If I'm getting error, we have to solve it in some other way because model is not the error. Always remember this. Just to solve errors, don't hamper your basics. Never hamper your basics. Okay, everyone. So now, instead of printing data, let's simply send the data as the response. That's it. Let's simply send the data as the response. Save it. Open Thunder client, close the terminal, and let's see. Send. And here we go, guys. See, we get the data as a response. You can see that, right, everyone? We get the data as the response. Are we cleared, guys? Everyone, are we cleared? So we have solved the issue and we are also getting the data as the response. So the first endpoint is done. If you want to get all the Pokemons, this is the endpoint that you have to call. So let's not call it get data. Let's simply call it /Pokemons. That's it. Simple. So if anyone wants to get all the Pokemons, they simply have to call get Pokemons. That means localhost colon 8000 /Pokemons, and they will get all the Pokemons. Are we cleared, everyone? So the first endpoint is done. This endpoint is to get all Pokemons. Are we cleared, everyone? Now let's create an endpoint to create a new Pokemon. So let's create a, now here we need to create something. Here we want to create a Pokemon. So which kind of request it will be, guys? Come on, guys, tell me which kind of request it will be. Everyone? Guys, come on, tell me which kind of request it will be. If I want to create a new resource, if I want to create a new Pokemon, exactly, it will be post, right? App.post. And then here you can have any URL. So first I'm simply going to have like Pokemon because I'm simply going to create a one Pokemon. That's it. And then here I'm going to have my request. I'm going to have my response. That's it. Okay, so now let's see how to create a Pokemon. And it's really simple. Now remember, guys, you know that your data will come in request.body. Just to confirm it, let's do it. Console.log, print the request.body. Just to confirm if we're getting Pokemon data. Print the request.body, which will simply give you the Pokemon object that you're sending from the front end. And just for a dummy response, let's simply send a dummy response. Response.send, just a dummy response, like message Pokemon created. Simple, right? I simply console.logging the body, the data that we are sending. So let's go ahead, create a new request. And now this request is for what? This new request is for creating a Pokemon. So first of all, it's a post request. Second, change the URL. http:// localhost colon 8000 / Pokemon. Okay, that's it. I don't want to send these headers, but I'm going to send some data, right? And I'm going to send JSON data. So for that, I have to mention one header that we learned yesterday. We have to mention content type. And that will be application/JSON because I'm sending JSON data. So this is one header that you require. And then simply go to body. And here you simply put the data that you want to send. So let's send a Pokemon data. Name. Give me any Pokemon data, guys. Come on. We can have Radish, right? We can have what? Come on, guys, tell me some Pokemon names. I have actually forgotten everything. So tell me some Pokemon names, everyone. Come on. Some Pokemon names, everyone, come on. I think there wasn't Pokemon, right? Onyx. Okay, I can put Onyx. And then we can have a type. I think it's a rock type Pokemon, right? So type is rock. Okay, I will remember these names, Charmander and Weedle. Also write the type. So write the Pokemon name space type. And then finally, I want to put the image URL. And here I have to go on and find out Onyx image URL. It's simple. Get this, go on the browser, search for Onyx. Here we go. We have the images. Take this one, right click, copy image address again, go in here, paste it. Now, guys, let's test it. So on the response tab, let's do this. Send, see, we get Pokemon created. But are we getting the data in the console? Let's check it out as well. Open the console. And here we go. See, everyone, we get Onyx. That means, sir, can we do like this by using all this API we can use in front end, such as React or Angular, so that we can set the output in the form? Yes, why not, Suraj? But this was only Node.js. So maybe in future, when we have the React essentials, I'll show you how to use this Pokemon API that we have made. So in future, when we'll have the React Essential or a JS Essential, I'll show you how to use the API that we are making here in the front end. Yes, but in this case, we're only making the backend. Okay, everyone. So we get it here, right? So now we are cleared that in this request.body, we are getting our Pokemon object. But now our aim is to put this Pokemon object into the database. Is that clear, everyone? Our aim is to put this Pokemon object into the database. So let's do that as well. And that's really simple. So now put your data that is coming in request.body. Your Pokemon object is coming in request.body. Let's do one thing. Let's store it somewhere so that it becomes simpler. Let's store it in a variable called Pokemon. Let's store your request.body so that it looks simpler. Let's store it in a Pokemon variable. That means this Pokemon variable is holding a Pokemon, and I want to put that into database. So what I have to do is, you simply have to create a model object like this. Let call it Pokemon obj equals new Pokemon model that we have created. You have to create a Pokemon model object, and inside this, you have to simply pass your Pokemon that you want to insert or your data. In this case, see guys, in this case, data is Pokemon. In your other cases, it can be your users, it can be post, it can be comments, it can be chats, it can be products. In this case, it's Pokemon. Is that clear, everyone? So now our request.body, that is our data, is stored in Pokemon. And then we have to simply create a model object. We do it like this. Give any name. So let Pokemon object equals to new Pokemon model. Inside the parenthesis, you have to pass your data that you want to insert. That's it. That's it. This is the one line that is important here. And finally, you simply have to do this. Pokemon object dot save. And that's it. Done. It should be saving your Pokemon into the database. So first, get your data. Second, settle up the model object. Third, simply call save. And that's it. That should be done. And now again, it has a callback function in which either you'll get error or you'll get data. If you get data, that means it's working. If you get error, that means it's a problem. You can simply like say, okay, fine. If error is equal to null, that means there's no error. I simply want to send this response. Pokemon created. That's it. Done. You don't have to use data. Simply. Yes, you can also use insert. You can also use save. It's totally fine. Is that cleared? So guys, see, first we get our Pokemon data request.body into a Pokemon variable. Then I create a model object. Let Pokemon object equals to new Pokemon model. Pass our Pokemon in that bracket. And then finally call save. If it is saved, it will call a callback function. And if it is not working properly, you'll get error. Otherwise, you'll get data. So if error is null, that means there is no error. Simply send this response. Pokemon created. Is that cleared, everyone? Guys, are we clear? Please tell me. And now if you see, here I only have two Pokemons, right? I only have Bulbasaur and Pikachu. So let's see if we are adding Onyx here after calling that API. So let's go here. Let's call this Pokemon creation. And let's see if we get the message. So here we go. And here we go. We get Pokemon created again. And now let's go to database and see if Onyx is created there. So come here and refresh. And here we go. See, we get the third data, that is Onyx, rock type, and we also get the image URL, and we are done. Now we are able to insert data in Mongo server. So now we are able to insert data that is coming from the client to the Node.js program into the database. So now we know how to get data. Now we know how to insert data using Node.js. Simple, right, guys? I really hope that you're finding this thing simple. These are basic JavaScript principles, right? Actually, here you don't even have JavaScript. It's like general programming. You're creating variables, you're creating objects, you're calling functions. You're not even using JavaScript, like specific JavaScript things here. You're simply writing a general program in a JavaScript language. Okay, everyone, I really hope it is getting clear to you guys. Okay, now let's create another endpoint that will help you to delete Pokemon. Let's create another endpoint that will help you to delete a Pokemon. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's write that endpoint here. So endpoint to delete a Pokemon. Unexpected string in JSON at position 24. Shiv Kumar, we can't like understand your error like this. Do one thing, Shiv Kumar. You have joined the group, right, buddy? just post your error and the whole code in the group so that I can see it. Okay. Yes, Dhanashri, this whole file will be shared to you. Don't worry. This whole file will be shared to you. Okay. So for all the guys getting errors in your code, see, I can't see your code, so I'll be unable to solve it. And I'm really sorry for that. So do one thing, just post your error and your code on the group so that I can see and solve it for you. Okay, everyone? Okay, guys. So now let's create an endpoint to delete a Pokemon. Now remember, guys, we delete a particular record. See, guys, here we have an example of Pokemon, but it can be any kind of data, right? It can be users, it can be post, comments, anything. So now, if you want to delete any kind of data, normally you delete it based on the ID. Remember, guys, whenever you want to delete any data, most of the times we delete any kind of data based on the ID. That means if the user wants to delete something, we'll not only call the endpoint, he also has to send the ID that he wants to delete. So the user also have to send the ID of the data of the Pokemon that he wants to delete, right? And remember, guys, whenever user sends a delete request, we always send the ID in the URL. We always send the ID in the URL. We don't send ID separately like a post request. We send the ID in the URL. So now we have to learn how to send data in the URL and how to read it in the backend. Is that clear, everyone? See, like this. For example, like this. See, let me create a new request. Let's say user wants to delete. Okay, so he will select a delete request. Now the URL will go like this. See, everyone, please focus. http:// localhost colon 8000. Now I can give anything like, okay, fine. I can give Pokemon as my route name, as my URL name, or as my, oh, fine, any name. Then I have to give him an option of passing a slash and passing any Pokemon ID here, like 234. So if I get this URL with a delete request, I have to get this ID 234 and I have to find out the Pokemon with the ID 234. I have to delete it. Now the user can either send 234 or he can also send 789. He can also send 123. Like user can send any kind of ID, and I have to, in the back end, in the server side, I have to make sure that I know the logic of reading this ID from the URL. So I have to make a URL where user can pass dynamic IDs. So I have to make a URL like this, and here in this place, I have to make something so that user can pass dynamic IDs like 56, 34, 56, and I have to read this URL and read the ID so that I can delete the Pokemon. Is that clear? So whenever a user sends a delete request, normally we always send the ID with the URL. And now it's our job to read the ID in the backend. Is that clear, everyone? So now we have to make a special URL for this so that user can pass dynamic IDs. Is that clear, everyone? Guys, are we getting cleared with this? Please tell me, everyone. Guys, are we getting cleared with this? So now we have to see how to make the URL like this. So let's go ahead and let's do it. So now, first of all, app dot request type is delete. And then here we want to pass the URL. So I want to pass slash Pokemon. Now remember, guys, whatever you pass like this, it's a fixed URL. It's a fixed URL. Okay. If I pass slash Pokemon, it's a fixed URL. That means user also has to write Pokemon. If he wants to call this URL like this, if he wants to call this, he has to call slash Pokemon. If he wants to call this, he has to call slash Pokemons. That means if he wants to call this, he has to call slash Pokemon. But I also want an ID incoming. So what you have to do for that, you have to give slash and say ID. But again, it's a problem. It's not correct. Because if I create a URL like this, then to call this particular route, to call this particular endpoint, user has to call slash Pokemon slash ID. Preeti, what is your confusion? Can you tell me what is your confusion? I just like told you guys that whenever user wants to send a delete request, he will send the ID in the URL, Preeti. He will send the ID in the URL. So now we have to make a URL that can have dynamic IDs. Is that clear? Until now, whatever URL we made, all were static. That means user has to write the exact same URL. Is that clear? So in this case, if I create a URL like this, Pokemon slash ID, that means to call this endpoint, user has to call Pokemon slash ID. But I don't want this, right? I want to give a feature like this so that user can pass any dynamic data here. So for that, you have to create a parameter variable. Sorry, you have to create a URL variable or URL parameter. And that is like, this is how you create it. simply pass colon and then whatever name you want. That's it. Means now this ID is a URL variable. This ID is a URL parameter. Don't forget the colon. Okay, that's what makes it a URL parameter. That means now user can call this Pokemon slash 12, and this 12 will come in this ID variable. User can also call. Oh, sorry. User can also call this. Oh, what I'm doing? This new keyboard. Okay. User can also call this 34. That means this 34 will come in this ID. So now it's a variable. The data can be anything. Is that clear? So this is what you call as a URL parameter or a URL variable. And by using this, we are giving a really cool opportunity to the user so that he can pass a dynamic data for that particular variable. Now it's not a fixed URL. Slash Pokemon is fixed, but after that Pokemon slash, he can pass anything. He can also pass this ERT. In this case, this ERT will come in this ID as a value. So it's like a variable, and these are all the values. So this is a dynamic URL in which you're changing the values. And we use it whenever you want to pass some URL data. URL, whenever you want to pass some data through the URLs. Okay, that's it. So now in this case, let's go ahead and let's see if we can do it. Request response. Let's send some dummy response first. So response.send message deleted Pokemon. Just a normal message. That's it. Okay, and now finally, I also have to learn how to read this ID, because now the user will pass the ID from the front end and it will come in this variable. But how to read it? How to read it then? That's one really important thing, how to read it. Okay, so any one of you know this? Please tell me, guys. Is anyone here that knows this, how to read it? Come on, guys, tell me. I want to see. Guys, do we know this, how to read it? Any one of you? It's a simple question. Come on, guys. Is anyone from you knowing this, how to read the ID from the URL? Exactly. Yes, that is correct. You have to use the params object that comes in request. Now, guys, see, this ID is also coming in the request, right? This variable is also coming in the request. See, everything that comes from the client is a request. So every data, either it is an internal data or a URL data, always comes in the request object. So this ID is also coming in request. So to access the ID, you have to write request dot params and dot the variable name, that is ID. This name. Remember, guys, it is this name. If I say it is IS, you also have to write IS. Okay, so simple. ID to ID, and that's it. And I'm storing it in a variable called ID. You can name it anything again. Let's see if we are getting the ID. So console.log ID. Save it. And let's see if it is working. Now let's go here. Okay. We don't need any headers. We don't need to pass any kind of headers. So cut. Here we're going to see a response. Okay, fine. So delete request, the URL, and here this is also part of the URL, but this will go in the ID. According to the format, after slash Pokemon, I have a variable, ID variable, and I'm passing this in place of that ID variable. That means this thing will go in that ID variable. Whatever you pass in place of that variable, that will go. Let's confirm. Hit send. We get deleted Pokemon. That's cool. That's the response. But are we getting the ID in the console? Here we go. That means if I pass 7890, here we go. If I pass my name, Saurabh, here we go. Whatever you whatever you pass in place of that variable, URL variable, it will be passed. So this is what you can use to pass dynamic data, any kind of data through URLs, and you can use it there. So everyone, are we cleared? Guys, are we cleared with passing URL parameters? Now, we have to use this ID to delete the data. We have to use this ID to delete the data. So everyone, please tell me, are we cleared with this? Guys, are we cleared with this? You guys tell me, are we cleared? Everyone. Okay, so now we have to use this ID and we have to delete it. Okay, and that's really simple. Again, we have to use the model. We again have to use the simple model. So let's use it. So Pokemodel dot delete one. There's a function called delete one that will delete one record. And inside that, you can simply pass what you want to delete. Underscore ID, because that is our column name, that is our property name. And I want to delete this ID. So underscore ID is your property name. ID equals to whatever ID I am passing. So ID. Again, it has a callback function. So error and data. And simply, if it is deleted, if there is no error, right? If error is equal to null, simply send this response that Pokemon is deleted. That's it. Done and dusted. Simple. No, Shahir, you cannot. Express is typically a backend API framework, so you cannot create front end. Is that clear? Okay, everyone. Yes, budding innovators, the group link is going on in the chat. Josna, can you please again put the group link in the chat? So guys, this is how you work. Okay, everyone, this is how you work. Simple. So we are going to get the ID in request.params.id. We store it in ID variable. Then we say Pokemodel.delete one, where ID property is this ID. Okay. And then again, a function will be called. And then again, if error is null, just send Pokemon deleted. This delete one should delete the record. Let's confirm it. To confirm it, we have to use the ID. So let's copy one ID from here. So let's say I want to delete Onyx. Okay. So I'm going to copy the ID. And now guys, remember, whenever you're copying the ID, you don't have to take this object part. Don't take the object part. Only take the number part. That's it. Only take the number part. Only take the things that is inside double quotes. That's it. That is your ID. So copy that thing. Okay. Come in your client again. New request. Yes, that's what I'm doing. We are deleting a particular data. Is that clear, Mukesh? So here we go. We pass the ID. And now let's test it. Send. And here we go. We get Pokemon deleted. And now to confirm it, let's go in here, refresh, and Onyx should be deleted. And here we go. See, Onyx is gone. That means we are able to delete the Onyx with the help of the ID. Is that clear, everyone? So simple. See the whole thing and try to understand it. Simple. We first get the ID from the URL, then we simply say Pokemodel. See, guys, now you're seeing, right? To fetch the data, we use Pokemodel. To insert data, we use Pokemodel. And to delete data, we again use Pokemodel. That's why I'm saying model is the important thing here. And that's it. And why we wrote underscore ID here, guys? Because we know our property name is underscore ID. We are deleting based on that, right? So that's why. Otherwise, a lot of people think that why we don't use ID here. Simple, because you use property names here. And what is your property name in the MongoDB? It's underscore ID. It's not ID. So underscore ID, and this is the value, which is stored in this ID variable. You can name it anything. It's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, everyone. Now we still have to create two more things. We have to create one update, what do you call, endpoint, and we have to create one what do you call, single fetching. What if someone wants to fetch a single Pokemon based on the ID? So we also have to make that, and that's now simple. Now you know how to pass IDs. Now guys, let's do that first. Let's create an endpoint to fetch a single Pokemon. Okay, so let's create it. To fetch a single Pokemon based on ID. Okay, so let's use it. So again, it is a fetching operation. That means it will be a GET request. Anytime it is a fetching operation, it's a GET request. So app.get. Now, I want to fetch a single Pokemon based on the ID. I want to fetch a single Pokemon based on the ID. And I still want to, and again, I'm going to pass the ID in the URL. So you know what is the drill, right? You know what is the drill. Slash Pokemon slash a URL parameter, because I'm going to pass ID. That's it. Again, I'll make it async because I simply want to fetch it just like here. Because I want to use await inside. So I'm simply putting async here. So async request response. And now Simply need the same data, simply need the same thing. But the thing is, now you're going to pass a parameter in this ID. And yes, we also have to read, right? So let ID equals to request dot params dot ID. And then simply pass the ID here. So instead of deleting, you're fetching. That's it, done. See now? So again, if someone calls Pokemon and passes ID and it's a get request, I simply read the ID, then call Pokemodel.find, and then I pass. Okay, fine. I want to find based on the ID. So if I use simple find, I get all the data. If I use find and I pass the parameter, okay, fine. I want to only find this data where ID is this. So I'll get that. Now, if you want, you can name it like Pokemon. No, don't name it data. Name it Pokemon and send this Pokemon back. And here also, don't name it data. Name it Pokemons because it's multiple Pokemon, right? That's a good naming convention. That's it. Pokemons. And here we go. Simple. So we get the Pokemon, single Pokemon. So find can be used for both the things. You can use find to get all the Pokemons, all the data. You can use find, just get a single data if you pass the parameter of based on what you want to get a single data. So I just got it based on the ID and then I send it. Now let's check if it is working, guys. Let's check if it is working. I can go here. Response.send will give HTML file also, right? What does that mean? Yes, in the response, you can send anything. But yes, if you're sending HTML, by default, the response type is JSON. But if you're sending HTML, you simply have to put content type text/HTML as a response header. So yes, Shahir, if you want, you can send HTML as well in the response function. But then you have to change the content type of the header to text/HTML so that it works. It works like an HTML. Yes, Valeria, you can also use find by ID. You can also use find. Totally fine. Both are fine, right? You can also use find by ID. It's also a function. You can also use find. Both are fine. So now, guys, I'm going to go here. I'm going to convert it to get, and no other changes are needed, right? Just simply convert it to delete. It will become a delete request. Simply convert it to get. It will become a get request. But now we know that this ID is already deleted, so we can't use this ID. So let's go ahead, take another ID. Okay. And let's put this one. And let's see in the response, are we going to get Bulbasaur? Is the first Pokemon Bulbasaur? Yes. So let's see in the response, are we getting only Bulbasaur? Send. And here we go. See now, guys. We get only Bulbasaur, and that's what we wanted, right? Okay, I want to like make it big now. Yeah, here we go. See, guys. So now I got only one Pokemon, that is Bulbasaur. Can we use name ID where ID in URL will be string names? No, you cannot use name ID. Because if you pass name, it will try to find out for name property. But yes, yes, I understand. Okay, fine. Your question is, yeah, then it's fine. Yeah, Swat, you're correct. But don't use ID then. Otherwise, it will make people confused, right? Just the way I got confused. Then don't use the name ID. Use some other thing for that. Is that clear, Swat? But yes, if you're passing name in the URL, you can also search based on name. I'm searching based on ID. You can search based on name. You can search based on anything if you want. Is that clear, Aswat? You can search based on anything, whatever you like. Just to just give proper names. Okay, guys. So now let's create the final route. Let's create the final route. Update a Pokemon. Final route. Okay, to update the Pokemon. Now, remember, guys, when you want to create something, you only pass data. When you want to delete something, you only pass ID in the URL. But in update, you pass two things. Because now you're updating. That means you pass the new data that you want to update, plus you also pass the ID where you want to update. So when you create, you only pass data. When you delete, you only pass ID. But when you're updating, you have to pass both the things. The data that you want to update and the ID where you want to update, which record you want to update. So that's why update is a bigger thing. Is that clear, everyone? So you have to pass ID through the URL, plus you also have to pass data, just like you pass in post request. Is that clear, everyone? So in update, you pass two things: ID in the URL so that the program can understand where to update, and data, what to update. Are we cleared, everyone? Guys, please tell me, are we cleared with this? So let's create it without wasting any time. So app dot, you can either use put or you can use patch. In this case, I'm going to use put. First, ready the URL slash Pokemon slash ID because I'm going to pass ID through parameter. And then again, request, response. First, read the ID. Let ID equals to what? Request dot params dot ID. We got the first thing, ID. But now data will also come. Now you guys tell me, how do we get data? Tell me everyone, how do we get data? Everyone come on, tell me. How do we get our Pokemon data from the request? I want answers. Come on, guys. This is the last question that I'm asking to you now today. How do we get data that comes in the request? Not through the URL. That comes internally, just like post. How do we get it? Where it comes, guys? Come on, tell me. Exactly. You're correct, Venkat. You're correct, Viraj. Exactly. It's a request dot body. And here we go. You guys are getting smarter. You guys are understanding everything. That's really cool of you guys. So now we also got the data. So we'll get the ID, we'll get the data. And now we simply have to update it. Okay. Let's write the update operation. And again, we have to use the model. So again, Pokemon model, Pokemon model dot update one. And here you pass two things. Here you pass two things. First, you pass where you want to update. So you pass fine wherever underscore ID matches this ID. This is where I want to update. Second, what do you want to update? Simple, pass the Pokemon. This is what I want to pass in that place, replacement of that data. Pass a Pokemon. And then finally, the function that will be called error data. Simple, right? See, first, pass the ID. This is where I want to update. Second, this is the data that I want to change. So whatever data is there, remove it and put this new Pokemon there. And now the function will be called. And if there are no errors, if error is equal to null, I simply want to send a response. Oh, come on. Pokemon updated. Simple. See, that's how it works. Pokemon model dot update one. First pass the ID. Okay, fine. This is the place where I want to update. Then whatever Pokemon is there, whatever data is there, remove it and put this new one that I'm getting in the body. And then call this function. And that's it. Done. Sorted. Now let's go there and let's pass it. So let's test this one only. Because we also want to pass the ID, right? So let's update Bulbasaur. So now it will be a put request. ID is already Bulbasaur, so that's fine. But now we also have to send data. And if we are sending data, remember, right, we have to send a header. Content type application/JSON because we are sending data. And the body here we have to pass the Pokemon that we want to update. So let's simply take Bulbasaur and change only one thing from there. So copy this data, come here, paste it. Okay, it's very unformatted. Now remember, guys, we don't need ID. Whenever you're passing update thing, don't pass IDs like this. Don't need it because you're already passing IDs through parameters, right? Let me just get it down for you. Here we go. It's like this. Now let's say I'm passing the whole Pokemon, but I want to update grass to, let's say, water. We know that Bulbasaur is not water Pokemon, but that's fine. We're updating. So see, guys, simple. Put request, URL, the ID of the data that you want to update. In this case, ID of the Pokemon. Then header set to content type application JSON because now you're sending some body. In the body, you're sending the whole Pokemon, but with the updated properties. Now, if you want, you can also update the name. If you want, you can also update the image URL. You can update whole thing. But in this case, I'm not updating name. I'm keeping it same. I'm keeping the URL same. I'm simply changing the type to water. Now, if you see here, still grass, right? Bulbasaur is still grass. Okay, Bulbasaur is still grass. Now, let's call that update. So let's check it out, guys. Send. Let's see what is the response we are getting. We got, see, Pokemon updated. And now, test time. Go here, refresh. See, it is still grass. Refresh. And here we go. Water. Done. Updated the Pokemon. And you can also update multiple properties at one time. You can just change the name, type, image URL, everything will be updated. Simply what is happening here is this Pokemon is getting removed and the other Pokemon that we are sending, the new one, it's getting there. So just send a new Pokemon with all the updated properties. If you don't want to update, don't update. If you don't want to update all of it, don't update all of it. Just keep it there and just update only the properties that you want. And that's it. Sorted. Done. Simple. Right? Update is done. That's how simple it was. So everyone, are we cleared? Now we have completed all the basic API endpoints that a API should have. Fetching all the data, fetching single data, deleting data, updating data. And yes, that's it. That's it. Nothing else. Now, if you want, you can create one more endpoint to search a Pokemon by name. You can create one more endpoint to search a Pokemon by type if you want. Sir, is it must want to send all properties? No, Sarma. No. If you want, you can also send a single property. In this operation, I'm doing the replace part. I'm not doing the patch part. I'm doing the put part. That means remove the old one, put the new one. But you can also create the another operation where you simply update a single property. Right? In this case, even if I want to update single property, I'm removing the old one and putting the new one. It's a put operation. In that case, I have to perform a patch operation. But mostly people use this. So this is fine. Is it clear? If I change only my name and not change type, but don't send type and image URL, only send name. See, yes, Venkat, this is a put operation. I'm changing the whole data. For that, I have to do a patch operation. I have to change a single property then so that other properties are not lost. In this case, if I pass only a single data, then everything will go and that single data will be there only. That means name, type, and everything will go and only type will be there. Because it's a put operation. I'm removing the old complete data and I'm putting the new data. I'm not only updating a single property. I'm updating the whole object with the same name, obviously. Is that clear, everyone? And now, guys, see, if you want to create one more endpoint where people can search a Pokemon based on name or based on type. So you can just copy this one. Yeah. Let's say we create one more endpoint. Fetch a single Pokemon based on type. That means now the user is going to pass type. How to render a particular HTML file on running its corresponding URL, sir? How to render a particular? You have to perform routing. It's simple. You have to perform routing and then render the page. But you don't do it in backend. You normally don't do it in backend. You do it with the front end one. That routing, that kind of routing, you do it in front end in Angular or React. Is that cleared, Aswath? Don't try to do it in the backend. It's not suggested to you. It's not recommended. And that's the concept of routing that you're asking. Find by ID and update works same. It's just if you're using find by ID and update, you don't have to mention ID like this. You don't have to mention ID like this in that case. And yes, Adarsh, you're correct. You can use that render function, but that is something that is not suggested. You should never pass like a complete HTML file with Node.js. That's not suggested. Either create a front end, complete front end. That's much better. Like there are ways by which you can pass files, complete HTML code, but you should not do that. Use a front end framework instead. That's much better. Okay. Someone is asking what is the use of find by ID and update. In that, it's simple. There are a few things that will go away. If I use find by ID and update, then it's just that you can directly pass the ID and then you still have to pass the Pokemon. It means now the function knows that you're passing ID. This function knows you're passing ID. So you can simply pass your ID. You don't have to mention it like this because update one does not know based on what you want to update. So you can use update one if you want to update based on ID or name or anything. But if you're using find by ID and update, you simply have to update only using IDs because this function is working only for ID. Is that clear? So it's like a general update function. You can update by ID or name or anything. And this is just the ID update function. Is that cleared? So that's it. And yes, I was creating a one more endpoint, right? To fetch Pokemon based on type. Here we go. See, you can copy the exact same function, guys. Copy the exact same function. Okay. And call it Pokemon Pokemon slash type. Okay, and then slash type variable. So basically, I'm calling this API. So basically, now if I want to call it, I'll write slash Pokemon slash type slash grass or water. And based on that, I should be getting it. And now, remember guys, now I don't have to find based on ID. I need to find the Pokemon based on type. And here also, my URL is type. URL parameter is type. Let's change this to type as well. And wherever is ID, we are changing it to type. So now see, Pokemon slash type slash whatever type I want to pass. Then I'll get that type stored in type variable, and then Pokemodel.find type where the Pokemon type is the type that I'm passing. Now, if you want, you can like put any name like user type, so that there is no confusion between type, so that you don't see type everywhere. That's why you can like name it different, user type. But I think you're understanding this, so let's make it normal type. I know that you know, right? This is the property name and this is the variable name that we have here in which we are passing the parameter type. Now let's call it and see. Let's call it and see. Do we get it properly? Let's get here. Let's make it a get request. Where do we have a get request? Okay. Yeah, here we have a get request, right? So this is a get request. Instead of get data, let's call Pokemon slash type slash whatever type we want. So let's pass grass. Okay, now we don't have any grass type because we updated Bulbasaur to water, right? So let's say water type Pokemon. And that's it. Pokemon slash type slash water. See, Pokemon slash type slash whatever type I want, I can pass in this variable. And that's it. Send. And if we go see, we get Bulbasaur because Bulbasaur in this case is a water type Pokemon. We know that it's a grass, right? Don't get like, don't try to confuse yourself. Okay, don't like get confused. Bulbasaur is a grass type Pokemon. We just tried it to update, and that's it. We get Bulbasaur because in this case, Bulbasaur is a water type Pokemon. So now we have one more endpoint where user can search Pokemon based on type. Now you can create n number of it. What if we need to pass multiple input from URL? Yes, why not? You can definitely go like this. Totally fine. Braj, decide, totally fine, buddy. See? So now you have two URL parameters. They have to pass like, remember, if you do like this, you have to follow the proper sequence. First pass the type, second pass the ID. So do this. You can pass n number of it. Slash, 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 anything you want. Is that cleared? Vraj Desai, buddy, is it cleared? Okay. So guys, that is it. That's the whole API. Is there anything where we pass like ID equals to actual ID? Yes, that is the old way. That is the old way of passing URL parameters. That is the old way of passing query parameters. You don't have to do that now because this is the new level of routing. This is the new type of routing. So it's the, we are doing the same thing. That is also URL parameter. This is also URL parameter, but this is much better. See, you have multiple ways. Either you can do this question mark and pass type equals water. This is one way, or just pass slash and this. This is a new way of routing and simpler, easier. Is it clear? How can I send data without using body or header? No, you have to use header. If you want to send data, you have to pass something in the body, right? And yes, if you don't want to use header or body, then this is the way, through URLs. Rahul Saha, then you have to send it through URLs because see, this water is going without any body because it's in the URL and without any header, right? So this is the way. I have 10 field, but I change only 5 field. How to do this, sir? Then you have to use patch. You have to set all the data, Venkat. Either take the whole data and update, take the whole data, take all the 10, change 5 and put everything. Or just take 5, but you have to set. You have to use the set atomic operator then. Yes, Vraj. See now, once the API is done, now you can send all these requests using Thunder Client, Postman, React Framework, Angular Framework, or the browser. It's totally fine. Is that clear? And Venkat, for your doubt, buddy, if you have 10 fields, get all the 10 fields, change 5 and put it, or use the set operator. If you only want to like work with 5, if you only want to change 5 values, and if you don't want to send all the 10 values. Exactly, Suraj, exactly. Now you got it. Yes, whenever you search, you're simply calling a backend API with a URL, and that backend API sends some results that you use in front end. Okay, so this is your basic API. Actually, it's not a it's a cool API now. It's a cool API. Now, if you want, you can add more properties to the Pokemons like powers, abilities, who is the owner, where they are found. You can add all the properties. Doesn't matter. See, the API is done. Now it's totally up to you how many properties you want. Just remember, if you add five to like four or five more properties, just don't forget to update the schema. Don't forget to update the schema. Is that cleared? See, we are using async and await. Now, see, we don't need it, but we are using it because, see, this find is a asynchronous request. Vraj, this find is a asynchronous request. Okay, that means it runs in background. That means this thing, if this is an asynchronous request, this thing can actually execute before it. But I don't want that. I don't want this thing to execute before this. That's why I put a await. That will make sure that this thing executes first and then only this thing execute. That's the meaning of await. Okay, and if you're using await, you have to make your function async. That's it. Raj, buddy, I don't think we have that much time because see, our session timing was till 8:30 and now it's 9. That means we are already above time. So don't worry, maybe in future Node Essentials or maybe in the advanced courses, I'm definitely going to do the file uploading. Okay. How to make this API? You have to launch it. Simple as what? Just simply, you can launch it on GitHub. You can launch it on your own server. You can launch it anywhere. So you simply have to launch it and just use a domain name and just send like create a documentation for your API where you can just simply give examples. Call this URL, get this. Call this URL, get this. And then the user will use it. First, you have to launch this. You have to launch this API. Is that cleared? You simply have to launch this API. That's important. Okay, everyone. So I really hope everything is cleared for you guys. Yes, Preeti, in schema, you can actually give validation. Yes. But we are not like completing that right now because if we start that, we have to use a lot of time. It was only a 2-day session. So we did whatever we can, the best. And I really think that you guys understood everything. I really think that you at least got the basics now. You at least got the fundamentals. Now you can grow from here. Like it was like a kickstart for you. Now you know what is an API. Now you know how to write the basic things. Now you know how to create it basically, how to create the simple things. At least you know the main fundamentals. Now about validation, about error handling, you can simply search it and understand because now you at least know the basics. You know the Kickstarter things. What is the difference between app and router? Router is basically if you using multiple files. App here is the object of your Express. If you're using router, then it will use your app, your Express object in that. Okay, so router you use when you want to like route through multiple files. Here we don't need it because we had a single file. Okay, Rahul. So you also pass your app object to the router, but here we are not using it because we use router only when we perform routing in Node.js. We have multiple files, we create separate modules, but we are not making that much complicated right now. Okay, everyone. So I really hope that you guys understood. But important part, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this session. I really hope that you guys enjoyed learning the Node.js 2-day session with me. So please let me in the chat, guys, did you guys enjoy it or not? And I'll see you in future essentials as well as in the advanced courses if you join, where we do everything from scratch, like a 6 months course where you get like start from zero and become a really high class web developer. Okay, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in future essentials and in the advanced courses. Okay, everyone. So that's it, guys. That's it. Node.js essentials are done. And from tomorrow, we are starting with HTML and CSS essentials. So I would really hope all of you guys to tune in there as well because we are going to learn HTML and CSS from scratch there. And if you know, that's fine. If you don't know, you can join in and start learning with me. Okay, guys. So that's it. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. See you in the future essentials. See you in the advanced courses. And I'm really happy that you guys enjoyed. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye, everyone. See you in the next essentials. Bye-bye, guys. Good night. Jyotsna, are you there? I think we can end the session now.